If you're applying for disability benefits or help people that are, the path to success has never been more complicated. Welcome to the Disability Expert Podcast, where we tackle the difficult issues and interview the country's top experts to help you better navigate the disability process. Winning a disability case is hard and keeps getting tougher every day. We can't promise you'll win your case by listening, but we sure think it's going to help.
This really isn't that complicated. I mean, you want to win your case, don't you? Well, then listen to what I say.
Hi, welcome to the Disability Expert Podcast. I'm Chad Brown. I'm your host. And today, once again, we are with one of the country's top disability experts, Vance Jennings, a longtime friend of mine on the show with us. Vance, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. It's always good to talk to you, Chad.
I know a lot about you because we've known each other a long time. Let me tell my guests a little bit about you so they know why you're here. Vance, North Carolina board certified Social Security disability expert since 2010. That's actually, ironically, the year I became an expert in North Carolina. So he's an owner, partner, Brent Adams and Associates, runs our Social Security Disability division, does Social Security Disability as well as private LTD, ERISA work, graduate of Campbell University School of Law, also has a master's in Trust and Wealth Management, Wake Forest undergrad, no go Heels, but I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, you can't go to UNC, I can't go to Wake. So, known Vance super long time. Our daughters both actually about the same age, play college tennis, played doubles juniors tennis together when they were like, I don't know, 10 or 11, 11 and 12. Yeah. So Vance and I have sat through a lot of tennis matches over the years and spent a lot of time talking about disability law as during the process. So he is an expert of experts, a gentleman. Thank you for being here. How'd you end up you got a master's with Trust and Wealth Management when you're in law school? I can't quite see how that got you into disability space. So you talk a little bit about that, how you ended up here?
Yeah, a little bit about that. So growing up, my dad was an attorney. He did a little bit of everything. We called him a country lawyer. You know, he would do everything from criminal defense, real estate closings, personal injury, divorces, disability. And so I'd go to work with him, and I went to a couple of disability hearings with him and got some experience that way growing up when I was in high school and college. And also, when I went to Campbell Law School, they had a class on nothing but Social Security disability. I was one of the few people in that class, and I took it, and I'd had some experience going to hearings with my dad. And then I took that class. When I got out of law school, I interviewed with Brent and got hired pretty much on the spot. So right out of law school, I'm doing personal injury, I'm doing some medical malpractice, and I'm doing some disability. And lo and behold, the week after I start practicing law, Brent's like, oh, by the way, we filed suit in federal court and there's an oral argument in front of Judge Boyle next week. And I'm like, well, let's go ahead and get baptized by fire. Let's do it. So he sent me. I didn't write the brief that was argued. And Judge Boyle knew that I was straight out of law school. He said, I'm going to give you a week or two to write this brief, and then we're going to have another argument. So I rewrote the brief, went in and argued in front of the Attorney General's office. They sent somebody down from DC or somewhere, and I actually won that case. And Brent's like, hot dog, you're going to handle all the disability stuff. So I handled all the disability stuff at the law firm from then on. And at first I was doing some other stuff as well, but pretty soon when you had somebody specializing in it, and I knew a lot more than the previous attorneys because of experience with my dad, because of the law school class, and just digging in and learning everything I could, we had a lot of success right off the bat, and the numbers started to quickly increase. Sure. The cases we were winning, the money coming in. So kind of the rest is history. I like the practice. I feel like I can make a real difference in people's lives in the practice. Yeah, I get to know people, and you're representing people when they are at their very lowest. They're sick, they're injured, they cannot work, they lose their health insurance, they're about to lose their house, their cars, and they've got all kinds of problems, and they cannot navigate the legal system by themselves. So I felt like I'm helping sometimes save these people's lives. You win benefits for them, you're getting health insurance for them as well, so they can get the medical care and treatment. You're helping them live in a decent situation so they don't have to live in the cold or in a tent. So that's kind of how I got into it. And it was kind of by chance. I didn't realize I was going to be doing it, but I got into law firm. I thought I was going to be doing personal injury and car wrecks and did a little bit of that, but really started to like the disability practice, had some success. And, I'm still doing it 21 years later. I did go back and get my master's of trust and wealth management, but I ended up getting my degree in 2009,
Okay.
right when the bubble just busted. So all the wealth management divisions of all these banks, they were going under, and there were no jobs there. And then, of course, when the economy's down, my job, we had tons of business and it's going well.
Sure.
I'm like, you know what? I got it if I want it, but never really used it or left this practice. So
it's funny, Aaron does our federal work. I know you know Aaron. Had his first oral argument, maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and sure enough, it was at Boyle. And just what a great judge. I mean, just super guy. Obviously, you know that over the years, and it was funny. So he made this argument, and he was going through the argument, and Judge Boyle was like, "Well, why aren't you asking me to pay the case?" And he's like, "Well, I thought that might be a little forward." He goes, "Well, I think maybe you should ask us to pay the case." Anyway, well, if you're willing to pay the case, Judge, we'd be happy with that result as well. So I can't imagine being in front of Judge Bull 2 weeks out of law school or passing the bar. But at the same time, in hindsight, probably couldn't have drawn a better judge to have been in front of.
I agree. I mean, he's very fair, but he is very demanding. If you are prepared, you're not going to have an issue in front of Judge Boyle, even if he disagrees with you. But if you are not prepared, buddy, he is going to let you have it and rip into you, and no matter what side you're on. But he really does. He's very objective in those cases, and he will listen. And I always enjoy being in front of him because you've got to be on your A game. You've got to know the file. You got to know the facts. You got to know your client, and you've got to know the law. But he will really dig into the facts, a little bit about your client. Tell me about where he lives. Tell me about where he's from. What kind of job did he have? What school did he go to? Tell me about. He really wants to know about the client, and a lot of judges they don't. They want to get in and out, and they don't really want to dig into the facts and the actual human being that we're arguing the case for. And Boyle is definitely one of those, and he's been a great asset to have on the court. And I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah, sure. So what I want to talk about. You run a busy practice. You guys are one of the bigger firms in North Carolina, and well should be. Do a great job. Have a great team works for you. What I want to do today, and we talked about this, and you're gracious to agree to do it. I want to go behind the scenes a little bit and show our audience what the day in a disability lawyer's like, because a lot of times I don't think people really have any idea what we do. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. One, can you give an idea, like on average, the last 12 months, how many hearings are you probably doing a month?
Let me tell you, a day in my life is extremely glamorous, Chad. Let me tell you, I'm looking at medical records, I'm making phone calls, I'm returning emails. So typically, I mean, it varies from day to day depending on what the schedule is, but I'm in court or have hearings almost every day of the week.
Right.
And sometimes numerous hearings a day.
Sure.
I can have I tell my office, I don't want any more than 10 hearings a week because I don't feel like I can adequately prepare. And I think it's too much on them to get it ready because, for example, you can have one case and one hearing, and in one case, there could be 1,200 pages of medical records.
Right.
I mean, that is a lot just to get, to file, to read, to understand, to ask the client about. And you times that by 10, I'm going to go blind here soon reading all those medical records.
Yeah, there's an art to reviewing which I know you've mastered, but even with that super high level of skill, it's almost unbearable at times.
It's tough and very time consuming. A lot of times I'm sitting here, you put the kids down, or late at night, I'm just like got my finger on the computer on the down arrow, and I'm just scrolling through medical records to see if there's anything that I can see. Because one of the advantages I feel like I have in these cases, if I know the facts better than the judge, if the judge doesn't approve you, I will get an appeal because I saw this x-ray, I saw this MRI, I saw this complaint or this diagnosis or whatever. And a lot of times judges may not see it, and they may not even consider it or document it in their opinion. So that's an automatic appeal. So the better prepared I am, the better I think I can represent clients, not only at the hearing, but if we have to appeal, I'm ready.
Yeah, sure. So let's do this. So walk them through a day. Like, what time do you get up in the morning? Like, what do you spend an average morning? Like, what's an afternoon? Like, what's it like from sun up, from wake up to go to bed? Like, what's a typical day look like in your life?
Well, now through COVID, it's been more virtual. So a lot of times I'll work from my home office, which is great because I can be so much more productive. I don't always put on a suit and tie every day unless I've got a video hearing. Some are phone hearings, but I will wake up, 6:30, something like that. Brew a cup of coffee, get a little something to eat, and start knocking it out. I'll be either preparing for my hearing and looking over medical records, or writing notes as to what I've got to ask, or how I'm going to attack the vocational expert, or what I'm to do, or what listings I'm going to argue in the hearing, or I'll be responding to emails to clients, because throughout the process, a lot of times it takes 2 years to get a hearing. My clients will have a million questions in the meantime, and I've got a lot of clients. So I try to answer those questions, or direct them to my paralegal and say, hey, this is where I want you to send this guy to this doctor, or this is what I want you to tell him, if I'm in hearing. So a lot of client correspondence. And also, I'll do some research, some legal research regarding POMS rulings, Social Security rules, regulations, certain case law that I might be able to argue, listings if I think a guy can meet a listing, or grid rules, or anything like that I can find, or even a ruling on obesity or lupus, or if they've got bad cancer, can I get them approved really quick without having to go through a whole hearing, if I can call the judge's attention to this compassionate allowance or whatever it is. So it's a lot of, I'm talking to clients a lot throughout the day. I'm doing research. I'm reading a lot of medical records. I'm taking notes. I'm getting ready for either the day's hearings or tomorrow's hearings. And occasionally when I lose a case, which happens, as you know, I'll have to write some appeals to the appeals council and some other things. So, I've got a ton of different things I do every single day. But it always is busy. Typically, my hearings are in the mornings. I don't know. Most judges schedule them in the morning. Sometimes I'll have some in the afternoons.
Right.
So in the mornings, I'm either getting ready for hearings or in hearings. In the afternoons, I'm prepping clients for upcoming hearings, or looking over their files to get ready for the hearings the next day, responding some emails, making sure my paralegals and my staff got everything taken care of. If there's any questions they have of me, responding to those. And also, you've got to look over the new cases and the intakes and see if we're going to keep them, or what they need, what we need to do to win, and develop a theory. So constantly doing that stuff. And on top of my cases, I'm a partner at the law firm. So every Wednesday we have an attorney meeting with all the staff, all the attorneys. And then every Friday morning for a couple hours, Brent, Sheila, and I have a partner meeting for a couple hours. And in the meantime, we also will have meetings with our marketing director, our marketing company. We have business coaches we meet with. So all kinds of things throughout the week. It is never a dull moment, and it's always busy.
You think the average client has any real appreciation for how much work just a typical disability lawyer is doing, not just on their case, but like in the context of running a law firm and managing a law firm? Do you think clients really appreciate it? I'm not saying they need to appreciate it, but do you think clients really have any real appreciation, for example, of what your typical day is like?
I think most of them do, if they understand what we're doing. And a lot of that has got to be communication. You've got to communicate to the client, listen, this is what we're doing for you. This is what we're trying to do. This is how much time we're devoting. I mean, they don't realize that if we call to check on the status of their case, a lot of times my paralegals are on hold for 30 minutes and then get hung up on, and then are on hold for another 15 minutes trying to find out what's going on with their case, or get in touch with the judge's clerk. I mean, right now, it is so hard to get any information from the government, or get a live person on the phone, or get anybody to help you. Yeah. And I'm not down talking to their employees, and it's not intentional, but they are extremely understaffed and extremely overworked. And but just that example, like my paralegals and my staff really spend a lot of time trying to get information for these folks. We spend a lot of time trying to chase down their medical records as well.
Sure.
I mean, we do little things that my staff does other people's jobs. Like, we are on the medical record people. We're on the doctors to get things returned to us. We call the government nonstop to make sure, hey, did you put our paperwork in? Hey, did you see this on the record request? Did you get these medical records? Did you see our request to change the time of hearing because our client's in the hospital? Getting responses to all these things is very difficult. And I think clients really appreciate it when they get to a hearing and they see an adversarial judge that's trying to ask them trick questions, or they see a vocational expert that says certain jobs that are completely bogus that exist and these people can do them based upon this. And they really need somebody to step up for them, to speak up for them, and be educated about those areas of law and the rules and regulations. And most of them are very appreciative once they get to the hearing level and they see all the work that's put in and the expertise and why the specialization helps. But behind the scenes, they don't really understand what we do every single day. They kind of, if they don't hear from us for, a couple months or a few months, they assume we're not doing anything. But every time they tell us where they're going to the doctor or if they just had surgery, we are getting those medical records. We're trying to gather them. We're trying to add them to the file so the judge can see them. We're trying to develop a theory of the case. We can get this thing approved without a hearing if it's strong. Yeah, sure. We're trying to say, hey, based upon this, let's get this doctor to fill something out for us. So we're doing a lot behind the scenes. I mean, just requesting medical records and filing medical records and filing appeals and making sure the government gets it. And, so I hope they can, maybe after watching this, appreciate what we do for them and how much we do. And they got to keep in mind, we do a ton of work for 2 or 3 years, and we do not get paid a dime unless we win.
Yeah, for sure.
We're doing a lot of work for free. And we have every incentive to win this case for them. We want it. They want it. We want it for them. So I think if they communication will help them understand what we're doing, and hopefully that'll lead to appreciation.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple follow-ups. I got a couple of things I want to get to. Before we do that, I got to take just a moment to hear a word from our sponsor, CBIG. So let's hear from them, and then we'll be right back.
Hey there, this is Kevin Rosenquist from the Disability Expert Podcast. Every week, Chad and his guests discuss the disability process and how expert attorneys help their clients obtain the Social Security disability benefits they deserve. But obtaining disability benefits is only half the battle. After winning your disability case, understanding Medicare should be your top priority, and that's where CBIG comes in. Disabled individuals must get their Medicare coverage right. Trying to understand Medicare can cause anxiety, uncertainty, and even fear. CBIG works with Medicare beneficiaries on disability around the country and is committed to helping those on disability navigate the complex Medicare process. Visit CBIGcares.com today to see how CBIG makes Medicare simplified. Mention this ad and receive a free gift when you schedule a 10-minute consultation.
Okay, well, we are back, and thank you from our sponsor, and thank you for CBIG. One of the things I think it's helpful for people to understand is the interaction between the attorney and their paralegal and their support staff, how that relationship works and how that relationship works through the course of representing someone. You guys have a big practice. You manage a lot of cases. Unfortunately, the wait times are continuing to increase, and as they do, our case management issues continue to grow. What I'd love for you to do, though, is to explain, because I know you've got a bunch of long-term, you've got some long-term staff. I know they've been with you a long time. They're really, really high-level folks. Can you sort of explain to the average person who's on disability what that relationship looks like how you guys work together as a team to get them from the day they call to hopefully that favorable decision on the end? Because I think if people can better understand what's actually going on behind the scenes, and it's a lot easier to say, oh, this is why Vance hasn't called me, but the other person has.
Well, I think we've got an incredible team. And honestly, I think I've probably got one of the most experienced, if not the most experienced team in the state. I've got a paralegal, Kathy, who has been working with me for 21 years. And she's been with our firm for 25 or more years. I've got Ashley, who's been with me for 17 or 18 years. Mm-hmm. I've also got Meredith, another case manager who hasn't been with me that long, but she's been doing disability claims for over 30 years. I've got an extremely experienced staff. They know how to get things done. They know how to do it efficiently and timely, and they are excellent. I mean, it really is the dream team. But throughout the process, it is a long wait. A lot of times, it could take 2 years to get a hearing. Sometimes we get people approved in 2 weeks, but it can be 2 years. So throughout representation, there's not a whole lot of updates at certain times. So what we ask our clients to do is whenever they go to the doctor, whenever their medication changes, whenever they get surgery or anything is happening, a new provider, you must let us know and communicate. And they communicate three ways. They can communicate to us through email, through telephone call, or through text messages. And we communicate all those ways as well. We also send them letters periodically telling them the status of their case and about when we can expect something to happen. Now, we might say, hey, you should get a decision in 2 to 6 weeks. And a lot of times the government's holding these cases for 6 months now at the first couple levels. We can't control that, but we can continue to update the government every time you go to the doctor. We can get your medical records, we can download them, we can send them in, we can inform them of what's going on. So we keep very good communication, and I've got different people that specialize at different levels of the case. I got one person, Martha, who is an excellent intake staff person who can do applications and also who does onboarding, gets all the basic information from our claimants, tells them what they can expect, tells them the timeframes, makes sure they file the proper applications, which is extremely important. And for everybody that we represent up to a hearing level, Emmy is the client liaison. She answers all their questions. She helps them fill out forms, work history forms, activities of daily living forms, medication forms, all that stuff. She's super. We have Kathy and Ashley and Meredith that I referred to earlier that are the case managers, and they're just incredible. Becky is working with them now. We brought her on a few months ago. She's helping them and learning from the best and is becoming a huge asset to us as well. So we've got a big staff. They're all incredible. They're all understanding. They realize they try to put themselves in our clients' shoes. All right. If you are not working and you're waiting on the government to make a decision and your doctors may not help you, or you're struggling to get doctor's appointments, sometimes clients can get upset and aggravated and frustrated, but we try to understand that and work with them, not against them, but realize we're on the same team and tell them that we sympathize with what they're going through. And we're going to try to help. We're going to try to fix it, but let's work together to figure out something and get it done. So we encourage, a lot of law firms may not encourage communication. We encourage our clients to contact us. We encourage them to text us, call us, send us an email, keep us updated. So we encourage that process throughout. And we're always trying to improve on our efficiency with communication as well and the timeliness of it. We have meetings about it all the time. The partners, we actually had one today about how to better communicate with our staff and always give them better service. But there's so much that needs to be done, behind the scenes. But communication is a huge part, and a lot of communication at times might be with my paralegals and my staff with the clients, but what they tell them and what they do, it comes directly from me. We have systems in place, and I've got people who have been doing it for 15 plus years that know exactly what to do and how to handle it. And they know how I think and what I want, and they do it.
Yeah, I think two things. One, I think clients sometimes misunderstand the fact that they do play a role in this. And while we have a team and we're on the same side, that they're part of the team, and we can't read their minds. We don't know when they go to the doctor. We don't know if there's a change in their medication. And sometimes our clients, I think you're right, it's just communication, getting them to understand, hey, look, this isn't you sit back and we do everything for you. We're going to do most of it for you, but I can't. There's some things I can't do, and you have to participate. And then when they do ask them to participate, getting them to understand, it's interesting. My firm's structured very similar to yours. When you're dealing with someone who's collecting your medical records, you need to understand they're an expert at that. Like, you don't want me collecting the medical records. I promise you. Like, Haven, who works for me, is way better at collecting medical records than I am. So getting people just to understand, hey, we have a team, but in each different stage, there's experts, and they're going to work with you. And that's why you hired an expert. That's why you came on board with us, because when you hire an expert and someone like you in your firm, they're not hiring just you. They're hiring a whole group of people and a team of people who understand how to get you from, point A to point B in the process. So you guys do a great job. One final question. I'm short on time. I'm sure my producer's going to cut me off. You coached high school tennis this year. Like, how in the world do you have time to coach high school tennis?
I did. I really looked at it as my way of giving back to kids. I grew up in an incredible church, and my Sunday school teachers would come to all my games through high school, through middle school. They'd be my biggest cheerleaders and support staff. And this opportunity kind of presented itself last year out of the blue. I didn't really seek it out, but I really enjoyed making a difference in these boys' lives and teaching them tennis and getting to know them and work with
How'd y'all
them.
do?
And this is the first year we actually made the state playoffs. The first year I think the school has ever made the state playoffs. And so we made it this year. We lost in the first round, but the school hasn't had a team. Last year was our first year they had a team in like the last 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And we competed, and some of the kids that had never played a sanctioned tennis match in their life until last year are winning matches against people who are all conference and who are actually potentially playing in college. So the kids are having fun. I'm enjoying it. It's keeping me young, and it's been a real joy for me. Now things are extremely busy during that 2-month period. Holy moly! But it's been done for about 2 weeks now. But I really feel like it's a way to give back and keep me young and have an impact in their lives.
Good for you. Well, I am out of time. And how can someone find you in your firm?
Easily, you can Google Brent Adams and Associates. We have offices in Raleigh, Dunn, Fayetteville, and Southern Pines. You can call us at 910-892-8177. You can email me personally at Vance, VANCE, at brentadams.com.
Perfect.
Love to talk to you. Happy to help you, whether it be with a disability case or we do workers' comp, personal injury,
Sure.
dog bites, any kind of contract dispute. We represent people rather than the insurance company.
Very good. Very good. Well, Van, thank you so much. Great talking to you as always. Great for coming on the show. And with that, that's a wrap. Another episode of the Disability Expert Podcast. Be with us next time when we bring on one of the country's best experts, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks a lot.